Hi there, and it's been a while, but here is another finisher video, and today's is going to be a little bit different. I'm doing it for a old retro game, and it's going to be one of these SEGA Master System games, and today's game is the Lucky Dime Caper, starring Donald Duck. So yeah, this is the first Master System game that I completed, and it's probably one of the best ones I've played so far. I'm really into cartoony style platform games, and this one is a really good example of one. The graphics are very colourful, the music is good, the music changes throughout the levels rather than having one song that plays through the whole game, which a lot of old 8-bit games had. And yeah, this was back in the day when Disney actually made good games. Nowadays, on the sort of consoles from PlayStation 1 era and upwards, the Disney games started to get a bit crappy. But I think sort of 8 and 16-bit Disney games were where they really did shine. Now, this game is pretty much like any other Disney game, you know, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, DuckTales, you know, any of those, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Basically, you go through the different worlds, trying to kill a boss at the end of the level to collect something. Once you've collected them all up, then you fight the final boss at the end to complete the game. Now, this one starts off with you're Donald Duck, and you're with your nephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and you're visiting your Uncle Scrooge, who is telling you about his lucky dime, which made him his fortunes. And then he gives, I think he gives the dime to each of the three nephews, and then he shows Donald his lucky dime. And then in the background is this character here, which is Magicka Castle, and she comes along and she sends in 3 sort of crows which come down and kidnap the 3 nephews. That's where the game starts, and then you have a level select where you can select one of the 3 first levels, which is a sort of element in Disney games which I really like. Back in the day when you weren't very good at a game, it was good to be able to play a level, and if you got stuck, you've had an option to select a different level and play that one instead, which made the game a lot more fun, especially if you got stuck on a certain level. So the first 3 levels, the first one is sort of like a wood level or forest, and you go along, and at the end you have to fight this guy who's on the cover, which is like a bear. Looks a bit like Blue out of Jungle Book, but he's a brown bear with a a bee's nest on his head. Quite easy to kill. In this game you have 3 different types of attacks. You've got the sort of bottom bounce head stomping attack, where you have to jump and then press the other button to make him bounce down and kill the enemies. You start the level with a hammer, which is quite powerful for hitting enemies. You get 2 sort of hits in this game before you die. On the first hit you will lose your item, so you no longer be able to use the hammer. Second hit, then you die and go back to the start of the level. You can also collect another item, which is like a frisbee or a boomerang, I think, sort of like a round disc, which you can fire out as a missile. Not as strong as the hammer, but quite good for fighting bosses. You can fire it across the screen, you can also fire it up. I think you can fire it diagonal as well, I can't really remember. But yeah, so that's a good item to have, and if you change to one, you have to re-find the other. Say if you got the frisbee, you have to find the hammer again to change it back to a hammer, if you want to use that weapon. So after that first one, you rescue one of the nephews. You've then got like another sort of forest level, but this one has water underneath, so it's more platform type jumping in this level, and if you fall in the water you die. However, you get part way through the level and then you actually fall into some water, and then you go into like a swimming level, which I thought was a bit odd, because it just shows that Donald Duck can swim underwater, and then once he gets out of that level, if you fall in the water again, you die. So it's a bit sort of, can he swim or can't he? And at the end of that level there is a lion who's also quite easy to kill. He sort of just sprints across the screen, stops, and then you can jump on him and then sprint back the other way and sprint towards you again. So it's sort of like a pattern to all of these. So he was quite easy to kill. Once you get him, you get another nephew. Then you move on to the sort of South America, looks sort of like a Mexico type level. You know, the ones where they have sort of lots of cactus enemies and sort of Mexican style jugs, you know, so it looks all sort of Aztec type style graphics. That's quite a good level. There's a part in that level which is quite good. It's different to the rest, where you get to a slant, like a hill, and the whole screen tilts and you have to run down and you have to jump over boulders to get to the bottom. I thought that was a nice little extra to the game, changes it up a bit. Then at the end of this world you have to fight a boss which is like a statue. When I first got to him, I'd been hit once, so I didn't have any sort of weapons to fight it with, and it throws boulders at you and I couldn't kill it. So then I went back and did it again and used, I think it was the frisbee, and it was really easy. Just stood underneath the head and just kept throwing the frisbee up and killed it. So I think you have to try and get to the end of that level without being hit to kill the boss. But once you do that, it's quite easy to do with the frisbee. So you complete those 3 initial levels, and then you speak to your 3 nephews, and then it opens up 3 more worlds for you to go to, each with a different crow to attack, to try and find Uncle Scrooge's lucky dime, which he said if you find his dime for him, then he will reward you with a special reward. So yeah, you've then got 3 more levels to choose from, which again is a really good idea. So the first level is a sort of, you know, standard volcano lava type world. So you have to run through sort of like a green area with a volcano in the background and fireballs dropping down, which you have to dodge. Once you get past that, you then go inside the volcano, I think, which is more sort of platform jumpings with the whole floor is lava. So if you fall off any platforms, it's instant death. Quite a hard world, out of a lot harder than the previous 3, but still quite fair, and was able to do it. At the end of that, you fight the first bird, which is he sort of throws bombs at you. Not too hard to kill once you know the pattern. When he swoops down is when you can hit him. When he's in the air, he chucks bombs, you have to dodge the bombs. After that, you go into a Egypt or Egyptian world with all pyramids in the background, and then you get the normal sort of mummies and snakes and bats and that sort of stuff. You get to the end of the first bit and then you go inside the pyramid, and then there's lots of sort of like moving platforms and spikes and that sort of stuff. So very typical sort of, well, I say typical, but this game probably did it before a lot of the other games did, but these are sort of levels you get in most platform games nowadays. And at the end of that world, you have to fight the crow who's got like a snake charming flute, and he makes a snake come out of the pot in the ground. You have to ignore the snake, really, just have to dodge him, and you have to hit the bird when he swoops down as well, I think. He was quite a hard one to kill. It took me a few attempts to kill him, and as you know with these old games, if you die you go right back to the beginning of the level. However, with these games, it's quite cool that you don't have to go and do all the other worlds. It basically puts you back to the start of the level select. So if you've done other worlds already, they still remain done, but then you've got to go back to the start of the world which you died in and complete that level again. So the third and final crow is in, and again, another typical level. It's in the South Pole and it's just an ice world. These worlds I really hate because they make the platforms all slippery and it's really hard to sort of stop yourself from sliding off, and they like to put lots of spikes around, or you know, instant death bits, but if you fall off the edge you just die, which when you're running around on sliding platforms really starts to annoy you. So yeah, that's probably my least favourite of the worlds. I don't like ice levels and I don't like sewer levels in games. They seem to come up in all games, and they're never fun, so I don't know why they put them in. You get to the end of that world, and I think this is the easiest crow of them all. He sort of just throws an ice cube at you, which slides along the bottom of the screen, which you just have to jump over, and then when he swoops down you hit him, and yeah, he dies. Once you do that, you've completed all 6 of those worlds. You then go to Magicka Castle. Again, another thing which happens in a lot of games now, you go to the main boss's castle at the end of the game and you have to get through it. Now this level was a lot harder than all 6 of the other levels, obviously because it's the last level, but it does ramp up quite a bit on this last level. It's also probably the longest world in the game, and again you go right back to the start if you die. So this one did annoy me quite a lot, because I did get quite a way through it every time, and then I would die on something stupid like falling onto some spikes. In this one there's a lot of like moving platforms where you have to sort of duck, otherwise you get pushed off and you die, and then you go right back to the start again. There's also a bit where it's a bit like a ghost house in Mario, where you have to select the right route to get through, so it's trial and error. A lot of times you get the wrong way and you go back to the start, and you're like, oh, and you have to go all the way through it again. Once you get to the end as well, considering how long the level is, the last boss, when she comes up, she stands at the corner of the screen firing like lightning at you and dropping fire, I think, and you have to jump into the middle where you're quite exposed and hit the crystal ball to kill her. So I did that again probably 5-6 times before I killed her, and it's quite a bit of luck involved, because when you jump up to hit the ball, the lightning comes down very quickly, and if you're in the way you just get hit. If you're lucky you can hit it a couple of times, jump out of the way before the lightning comes down. But yeah, I eventually killed her in the end. Then you get the end sequence. If you don't want to hear this or see it, because I'll probably be putting it up on the screen, then end the video now. But spoilers, at the end you beat her and Uncle Scrooge comes up and he rewards Donald with his lucky dime. So he's done all of this just to get a lucky dime coin from his uncle, and that was his special reward for doing the game. So that's it really. Yeah, very good game. If you've got a Master System or you've got some emulation software, I would really recommend getting this. Play it without cheating, without save states. I would say if you use save states on this game, you could complete it pretty much within sort of like half an hour, an hour. It took me sort of 4 or 5 hours to complete, I think. You know, going back to the start and getting that little bit further each time. But it's really rewarding to complete the whole game without cheating, and on the original software it's even more fun. And it's made me want to go out and buy a load more Master System games. So yeah, that's the finisher for the Lucky Dime Caper starring Donald Duck. Hope you enjoyed this little finisher review. If you did, please thumb up the video and leave a comment below with what you think. Have you played the game? What did you think of it? Any recommendations of other similar games like this, or in this series, let me know. I think there is another Donald Duck game, but it's quite expensive, but I might be getting that one soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next video. Cheers.